she would keep continuity with the Fed. So basically, we know what Janet would do. She'd keep the stimulus coming, right? Is that a good or a bad thing for the markets? Gene Marks, the small business advisor and the owner of the Marks Group, joining us from Philadelphia. Hi, Gene. So is Yellen the clear number two?
Yeah, I think Yellen is actually the front runner, not really the clear number two. I think she will. She is the primary candidate to be nominated. She's going to have some tough confirmation hearings ahead of her. But my prediction is that she will be nominated. She will be the new Fed chair.
You don't think there's going to be a wild card here? Maybe, Janet Yellen would be the first female Fed chief. Maybe we'll have the first African American Fed chief in Roger Ferguson.
It's possible. I mean, Ferguson's name has been kind of bandied about. A few other names have been talked about too, but the campaigning for Yellen has been pretty heavy, pretty intense, and she certainly is qualified for the job. She has the history of the job. She knows the president quite well, so she's definitely the front runner. And again, like I said, I would be very surprised if she's not the one that's nominated.
Why, if she's close with the president, why wouldn't have he made her number one before Larry Summers was made number one?
Well, I mean, the president had a pretty deep relationship with Larry Summers. I mean, their relationship went back pretty far. From what I hear and what I read and the people that I talk to in D.C., the president was a little bit kind of taken aback at the amount of campaigning that was going on for Yellen as well. So that kind of pushed him back a little bit from this, and that's why he seemed like he was leaning towards Summers. But remember, even though indications were that Summers was sort of the front runner in the president's mind, he wasn't necessarily he wasn't nominated yet for sure.
Right.
So we don't know, for sure if he was going to be the person that would be nominated by the president. But he's getting a lot of pressure from a lot of influential people in the Democratic Party. They really want to see Janet Yellen as the Fed chief. And the big reason why is that Yellen is all about jobs. She's all about unemployment. She has said and has been on record of saying that the Fed's role is to increase employment and to increase unemployment, even if that's we have to take higher interest rates or higher inflation because of it. The Fed's main role is to keep an eye on unemployment. So a lot of people in the Democratic Party, a lot of the labor supporters of the president, they like those words.
What's her take on policy, though?
She is absolutely a continuation of what Ben Bernanke has already started. I mean, she has always been about easing. And the big question is, particularly for me as a small business owner and all my clients that run businesses as well, what does that mean for our companies, if there's going to be continued easing? I mean, in the last segment, you're talking about what the effects this has on the markets. No one's complaining when the stock market goes up. It certainly gives a lot of psychological confidence, not only to me, but to my customers. They're
Right.
more apt to buy the software that I sell when they're feeling that much richer and the stock market is higher.
I agree with you. You want the stock. We talk about Dow 15,000 because it's a great confidence boost. It's a clear milestone. And I agree with you. When you look at your 401k and you see a rise of 20% this year, you're happy. You might feel more confident. But I truly think we've gotten to the point where we're confused by what's going on, and we don't even believe the stock market's gains.
I think, Laura, you're 100% right about being confusion out there, and I think the average person looks at the stock market and really doesn't know what's behind it. I mean, they don't look into it. But the real number is the Fed's balance sheet. I mean, the Fed has over $3 trillion, $3.5 trillion of reserves on its balance sheet right now, and how are they going to wind that down? And if they don't wind it down the right way, it could turn into some inflationary pressures, and therefore it could be interest rate hike to manage that. And if that's not managed the right way, that impacts small businesses directly. It impacts how much we're paying people and how much we're paying for products. It impacts what we're going to borrow, how much cost borrowing is, whether we can make investments or not. These are things that a lot of small businesses I don't think are really aware of and need to keep an eye on. Is exactly what is Janet Yellen's plan for winding down all of this easing? And we really haven't heard that yet.
No, and we haven't heard that from any of the potential candidates. What is your take on maybe Bernanke getting a third term?
It's really funny when you talk about Ben Bernanke. He's never really publicly said that he's not continuing on at the Fed. It's always been, like rumored that he doesn't want to do it, or, maybe he's telling that to his friends personally, but I've never seen any public announcement that he's not wants to continue on at the Fed. So, I guess that means he's not going to, because he's certainly not disputing any of the reports going on.
Has said in not so many words that that probably wouldn't happen. But you're right. There's been nothing declarative. Actually, let's listen to Ben Bernanke addressing his own plans yesterday. Let's take a listen to the soundbite.
If you will indulge me just a little longer, I prefer not to talk about my plans at this point. I hope to have more information for you at some reasonably soon date, but today I want to focus on monetary policy. I prefer not to talk about my own plans.
Very helpful. That was so helpful. Now we know more, right, Gene? I'm kidding. Your thoughts on
Don?
on Don?
No, the president's saying in not so many words. I mean, no one is saying it in any words, whether or not Bernanke is continuing on or not. You're right. I mean, it smells like he's not going to continue on, but I really wish people would be more definitive, don't you?
Yeah, I hate to say it. I think he's getting a third term. That's my gut feeling on this. I don't know. The other names out there are Christina Romer or Donald Cohn. Do you want to comment? Or even Tim Geithner. Did you want to comment on any of those three?
The only one that I actually know on this record is Geithner. Because I'm not that much of a Fed watcher, I tend to watch the people and write about the people that are really, kind of out there operating and have the job. Geithner is Secretary of the Treasury. We do have some of his track record. Everything I know about him and everything I read and the people that I know that know him says that he does not want the job. In fact, personally, I get the impression that he's through with Washington altogether after what he went through the last financial crisis. So I would be stunned let alone he'd be nominated if he would accept that nomination. I just don't think it's even an option.
I agree with you. Well, we will find out before January, because Bernanke's up the end of January. Gene Marks, thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too, Lauren. Take care.
Okay.